I didn't wake up one day and decide to ruin my life. It was slower than that. Quieter, like a leak under the sink, nothing dramatic, just a steady drip. Until the whole cabinet rots from the inside out. My name is Ava. I'm 33. I've been married to Daniel for almost 7 years. And for the last 2 of those, we've basically been roommates who share a bed, bills, and a Wi-Fi password. No fights, no passion, just a cold kind of silence that settles into everything like dust. He's a good man, stable, predictable, too predictable. We used to talk about traveling, kids, new restaurants. Now we talk about groceries, broken light bulbs, and whether the neighbor's dog is barking too much. And then there's work. I've been a marketing coordinator at the same mid-sized tech firm for 4 years. 4 years of doing more than what's in my job description. Writing campaigns, managing teams unofficially, cleaning up messes from people who make double my salary. Every year, I get glowing reviews, and every year, they'd say, "We'll look at a promotion next quarter," but next quarter never comes. Just more deadlines, more underpaid effort, more men with less skill taking the jobs I should have gotten. Then came him, Logan, VP of Brand Strategy, newly divorced, sharp suit, sharper eyes. He started at the company 6 months ago, and suddenly, I wasn't invisible anymore. He actually read my reports, quoted my slides in meetings, pulled me aside and said, "You're wasted in this role." No one had said that to me, ever. It's a funny thing how desperate you can get for someone to just see you. At home, Daniel barely looked up from his phone during dinner. At work, Logan looked at me like I was the answer to a question only he was smart enough to ask. At first, I told myself he was just being professional, encouraging, a mentor maybe, but then there was the way he smiled when I made a joke in a meeting, or how he started accidentally showing up at the break room when I got my afternoon tea. We never touched. Not then, but it was there. That tension you feel in your skin before something starts, like the air before lightning. One Thursday, we had a late meeting to prep for an executive pitch. Everyone else had left. We were sitting close, too close. I showed him a campaign draft, and he leaned in behind me to look. His hand brushed mine. I froze. He didn't move away. And then, softly, like he wasn't sure if he was saying it out loud, he whispered, "Do they even realize how lucky they are to have you?" I didn't answer, because in that moment, I wasn't thinking about Daniel. I was thinking about how it felt to finally be seen, admired, wanted. When I got home that night, Daniel was already asleep. The lights were off. The leftovers were still in the microwave. Our cat was the only one who greeted me, and as I lay next to him in the dark, listening to his steady breathing, I wondered if he'd even notice if I didn't come home at all. I wasn't proud of the thought, but it was there. Like everything else I didn't say out loud. It was supposed to be just another corporate event, finger food, small talk, a dull hotel ballroom filled with fake smiles and too much cologne. Daniel didn't come. He never did. He said he was tired, said those things were for brown-nosers, and maybe he was right, but I went anyway. I wore a deep green dress, not revealing, but fitted. It was the first time in months I put effort into how I looked. Not for Daniel, not for anyone else, just for myself, or at least that's what I told myself. When I arrived, Logan was already there. He looked different outside the office. Looser, more dangerous. No tie, open collar, whiskey in hand. He saw me walk in and smiled like he had been waiting. We talked, laughed, avoided the people we were supposed to network with. Every time someone passed by, we'd shift slightly closer than we should have been. There was a moment, right by the bar. He leaned in and whispered, "You're the only person here. I can actually breathe around." I should have walked away. I should have reminded him and myself that we were co-workers, that I was married, but instead, I let him take my hand just for a second, just long enough to break something between us. By midnight, people were leaving. Taxis were being called, jackets thrown over shoulders. The lights got dimmer, the music slower. I told myself I was just waiting for my Uber, but when he said, "I have a suite upstairs, just for tonight, nothing has to happen. I just don't want to be alone." I didn't say no. I don't remember the elevator ride, but I remember the keycard beep. I remember the sound of the door closing behind us, and I remember the silence that followed. He didn't touch me right away. He poured another drink, asked if I wanted one. I said no. Then he sat beside me on the couch. Close, too close. We didn't speak for a long time, just looked at each other. And then, slowly, he kissed me. It wasn't rushed, wasn't rough. It was soft, careful, like he was giving me one last chance to stop him. But I didn't, because in that moment, I wanted to disappear into someone who saw me as more than a grocery list, a meal planner, a body in the other side of the bed. We spent the night together. No lies, no I love yous. Just skin and silence and a desperate need to feel something that wasn't numb. When I left the next morning, I didn't cry. I didn't feel triumphant or sexy or even ashamed. I just felt disconnected, like I had stepped out of my life and couldn't find the door back in. Daniel didn't ask where I had been. He just said, "Did you bring coffee?" Like nothing had happened. Like I wasn't carrying a secret between my shoulder blades, too heavy to lift. That should have been it. A mistake, a line crossed. One night, but it wasn't, because 1 week later, Logan texted me at 10:47 p.m. "Still can't stop thinking about you." And I answered, not because I missed him, but because a part of me wanted to believe that one night meant something, that I wasn't just another regret. We met again and again, always in places no one would see, parking lots, hotel bars, conference, weekends. He never promised me anything, but he didn't have to, because eventually, I got the promotion, new title, new office, a shiny nameplate on the door, and a marriage that felt like a hallway I didn't belong in anymore. Daniel smiled when I told him, said, "Finally, you deserve it." I wanted to cry, because I did, but not like this. It should have felt like a victory, the new title, the bigger office, the higher salary, the polite congratulations in the hallway, the company-wide email that said Ava has been instrumental in shaping our brand strategy this quarter. I smiled, said thank you, nodded. When people said, "You earned it," but inside, it all felt hollow, because I didn't earn it. Not really, or at least, not the way I told everyone I did. Every time I walked into my new office, I felt like an imposter sitting at someone else's desk. I used to think getting promoted would mean validation, that I'd finally be seen, respected, taken seriously, but all I felt was tired, and dirty, and wrong. Logan was careful after that. He pulled away. No more flirty texts, no more long stares. He barely acknowledged me in meetings. He got what he wanted, a high-performing manager under his belt. And I got what I thought I wanted. At home, Daniel tried to celebrate. He made dinner, bought me flowers, lit candles like we used to back in our first apartment. He smiled across the table and said, "See? I told you they'd see how brilliant you are." And I smiled back, because I couldn't tell him the truth. I couldn't tell him that brilliance had nothing to do with it. that I had traded pieces of myself for validation that didn't last beyond the elevator ride to floor 7. After dinner, he tried to kiss me. I flinched. It was small, barely noticeable, but he caught it. I saw it in his eyes. He didn't say anything, just turned away, cleared the plates in silence. That was the first crack. The next few weeks were a slow unraveling. He asked if I was okay. Said I seemed distant. Said, "I miss you, Ava." I said I was just busy, tired, adjusting to the new role, which wasn't a lie, but it wasn't the truth either. I found myself avoiding him, taking long walks after work, answering emails late into the night, pretending to fall asleep early just to avoid intimacy. I couldn't bear his touch. Not because I didn't love him, but because every time he reached for me, I felt the weight of my betrayal like a hand pressing down on my chest. One night, I came home to find him sitting on the couch in the dark. No TV, no phone, just him and a beer bottle, almost empty. "I saw your texts," he said. My stomach dropped. I opened my mouth, but nothing came out. Then he added, "From Logan? On your old tablet, the one you forgot to log out of." I felt the room spin. He didn't yell, didn't throw anything. He just looked broken. "I didn't read all of them," he said, "just enough to know." The silence that followed was the loudest thing I'd ever heard. I tried to explain, to say it wasn't about Logan, that it was about me feeling unseen, undervalued, lonely. He nodded, but I knew he wasn't really listening because none of it mattered. I had crossed a line you can't uncross. He didn't ask how long it had been, didn't ask if I loved Logan, didn't even ask if it was still happening. He just said, "I thought we were stronger than this." Then he stood up, walked past me, and closed the bedroom door. That night, I slept on the couch, and for the first time, I understood what it meant to feel alone while sharing the same roof with someone. The next morning, he left early, didn't leave a note, didn't say goodbye, just his half of the bed still made and his toothbrush gone. He didn't come home that night. No text, no call, no explanation, just silence. At first, I told myself he needed time, that maybe he was staying at a friend's, that maybe he was still processing, but by the second night, when his phone went straight to voicemail, I knew he wasn't coming back, and honestly, I couldn't blame him. The house felt different without him, larger, colder. Every light I turned on only seemed to highlight the emptiness. I tried to keep moving, went to work, smiled at coworkers, answered emails like I wasn't unraveling inside, but I felt it in the pit of my stomach, in the way I couldn't sleep, couldn't eat, couldn't look at myself in the mirror without flinching. Then 3 days later, he came home. I heard the key turn, and for a brief second, I felt relief until I saw his face. He looked different, not angry, just done. His eyes were tired, his jaw clenched, like he'd spent every second away trying not to cry. He walked past me, went straight to the bedroom, came out with a duffel bag and a folder. "I spoke with a lawyer," he said flatly, just like that. No dramatic pause, no hesitation. I opened my mouth to speak, but he cut me off. "I'm not here to fight, Ava. I just need you to sign these." He handed me the folder. Preliminary divorce papers. Clean, professional, final. I felt like I'd been slapped. "Daniel, please," I whispered. "Can we just talk?" He looked at me then, and I swear, I would have preferred him yelling, screaming, anything but the hollow look in his eyes. "I read more than just the first few messages," he said softly. "I saw how you talked about me, how invisible you said I made you feel." My heart dropped. He continued, "And you know what hurts the most? It's not the sex. It's not Logan. It's that you never gave me the chance to be better. I tried to protest, to say it wasn't like that I was lost, that I didn't know how to ask for more without sounding ungrateful, but he wasn't listening anymore because he'd already heard enough. He walked toward the door, bag over his shoulder, and paused. Then he said something I'll never forget. You didn't just cheat on me, Ava. You chose to believe I couldn't love you better than he did. And now, I believe it too. Then he left. No slam. No door ripped off its hinges. Just a quiet click, and he was gone. I stood there in the foyer, papers trembling in my hands, and realized that was it. Not just my marriage, not just Daniel, but the version of myself that believed I was still a good person underneath it all. It was gone too. That night, I sat on the kitchen floor until morning. No music, no lights, just the sound of a refrigerator hum and the echo of choices I couldn't take back. I didn't text Logan. I didn't cry. I just existed, like a statue of a woman who used to believe she was strong and smart and capable of making the right decision, but who now knew better. It's been 3 months since Daniel left. The apartment is quieter now. His side of the closet is empty. His toothbrush is gone. The little framed photo of us from our honeymoon Jamaica, barefoot on the sand, is no longer on the nightstand. I still reach for it sometimes, forgetting it's not there. The mornings are the worst. There's no sound of him making coffee, no annoyed sigh when he forgets his keys again. Just me, alone with the echo of a life I destroyed. Logan hasn't spoken to me since. A week after Daniel moved out, Logan was promoted to senior VP and transferred to another branch across the country. I didn't hear it from him. I read it in the company-wide email. He didn't say goodbye, didn't check in, didn't even send one final message that said, sorry, and maybe that's what hurts the most, not that he left, but that I ever thought he wouldn't. The office is different now. People are polite, but cold. They smile, but only with their mouths. No more lunch invites, no more hallway chatter. Just silence and small glances when they think I'm not looking. And the job? The title I sacrificed everything for? It means nothing now. Every meeting, every email, every achievement feels like a reminder. You got here by stepping over your own marriage. I sit in a corner office with a view of the skyline, and all I feel is numb. I go home to an apartment that used to be filled with warmth and now echoes with absence. Sometimes, I try to remember what it felt like before all of this. Before Logan, before the texts, before the lies, but I can't, because this version of me, the one who made that choice, who crossed that line, is all that's left. People think cheating is about lust, but for me, it was about emptiness. A quiet, creeping emptiness I tried to fill with attention, admiration, power, and in chasing all that, I lost the one person who had stayed when I had nothing to offer but love. Daniel didn't leave me because I slept with someone else. He left because I became someone else, someone I promised I'd never be. And now, this apartment, this promotion, this new life, it's all just wallpaper over a broken wall. And no matter how well it's decorated, the cracks are still underneath. Sometimes I wonder if he's happier now, if he found someone who looks at him like he matters, if he laughs more, sleeps better, smiles without the weight of betrayal hanging between his shoulders. I hope so. He deserves that. I don't expect forgiveness. Not from him. Not from myself. This isn't an apology. It's not a plea. It's just the truth, a confession. Because when you choose to betray someone who loved you deeply, you don't get to ask for closure. You get silence and time and the endless echo of what you lost bouncing off the walls of an empty apartment you thought success would make feel full.